Hi there, and thank you so much for checking out this bullet journal video. So November is on the way, and this month in my travel themed bujo, my focus is going to be on Mexico. Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, is a festival that occurs at the beginning of November in Mexico, and I thought it would make a really cool theme. I do apologise if any of my Spanish pronunciation is incorrect throughout this video. It's definitely not my strong suit, but I'm trying my best. So I'm starting off with the decoration on my cover page, and it is big. I'm using a double page spread, and the design is very bold. It's quite intimidating and not something I would normally do, but it just kind of turned out that way when I started sketching, and I just went with it, and I do really like it. I've done my outlines in pencil, and I'm going over everything in a fine line pen. This is a 0.8, so the line is nice and thick. I googled Day of the Dead skulls and just picked out my favourite bits from a few different designs to make this one up. I drew the left side first, and then I traced it onto, well, tracing paper, and then I flipped it over to the right and transferred it so I could get it perfectly symmetrical. Now you can see I've done some folding of pages this time, and you'll see properly how it all works later, but the two sides of the skull will flap open to reveal another spread underneath, and there are also some more spreads to the left and the right under the flaps. I've seen some other bullet journalers do different folded pages, and I think this one specifically I got from Nikki at Book and Broom, so I will link her channel down below if you want to go check her out. So Dia de los Muertos translates to Day of the Dead in English and is a Mexican festival generally held around the 1st and 2nd of November, and it celebrates the lives of friends and family members who have passed away. It is a joyful event rather than a solemn remembrance. The dead are honoured by the building of altars called ofrendas, where favourite food and drink is left for them. Many believe that the dead return home to enjoy the offerings left on the altar for them. Calavera, which is the Spanish word for skull, and throughout this festival, refers to artistic creations of skulls or skeletons, particularly sugar skulls, which are also left as offerings or given as gifts. Bright colours are very much a part of this festival, so I'm colouring in my skull with my Crayola fine tips. I'm using the colours in the pastel sets because I personally prefer them to really bright primary colours, and they all complement each other quite nicely. I'm leaving the main area of the skull white and colouring in the eye sockets and the nose black to provide a bit of contrast. I was in two minds as to whether I should colour in the background as well to really make the skull stand out. I decided not to in the end because I didn't want that kind of streaky finish you can get with brush pens sometimes. I don't know, what do you think? Would it look better with a background? On the left, I'm doing my title, and I've written November in a font that's quite angular and uses little bone shapes to make up each part of the letter. I don't know why, but I think it's so cute even though it's bones. Maybe because they're just really tiny. Wikipedia reliably informs me that historically bones and skulls were thought to be important as they contained the life energies and power, and part of why they are so widely depicted throughout the festival. I didn't want to colour in the text, but I did just add some small lines with a fine nib pen just to give it a bit of shape and texture. On the opposite side, I've written Dia de los Muertos. I didn't want to do the whole thing in the bone font, so I've just used a brush pen for the first three words and then did the last word in bones. To finish off the decoration on this page, I wanted to make a border of flowers, so I drew these marigolds and roses on a spare bit of dot grid paper, then I scanned them onto my computer and cut them out in Photoshop. Then I created a couple of A4 pages with them in all different sizes and printed that on sticker paper. This then gave me a quick way of decorating all the pages without having to draw each flower a ton of times and struggle with resizing the designs to fit in various different spaces. I left them white so I could colour them in however I wanted, and this made the designs go further because even though there are only 4, by resizing, flipping the images and colouring them in differently, it kind of looks like there's a lot more. I did have to cut them all out by hand as I don't have a Cricut machine, unfortunately. It did take a while, but I still think it was quicker than drawing them all individually. I chose to draw marigolds because they are an important part of the Day of the Dead festival. They are very bright and also have a very strong fragrance, which is thought to attract the souls of the dead to the offrenders. People will often scatter the petals from their front door to the offering to help show a path for the dead. I didn't want everything to just be orangey yellow, so I also drew some roses to add some red and pink in there too. After that was done, I had fun rearranging them all around the edges. I decided to stick them on with them overlapping the edges, and that meant I could make them go a bit further, as the bits I cut off I could reuse on the other side. I really like how the front page turned out. Like I said, it's so much bolder and brighter than I would normally do, and I really hope it captures the spirit of the Day of the Dead celebrations. Okay, moving on, I'm creating my monthly to-do list under the first flap to the left. I've cut a sheet of black dot grid paper from a previous journal, and I'm just adding a title with a white Jelly Roll pen, and I've used the bone font again. And to do that, I've written the letters in the same angular way and then just added little round circles to the top and bottom to represent the joints. I'm not adding any further decoration to this page because there's so much around it already that I don't really feel like it's necessary. So I just used some roller tape to stick it down and press down on the fold really hard to make sure it doesn't spring back open. On the other side, I decided to add my gratitude page, and I did this in exactly the same way to keep the symmetry. Last month I didn't do it in a one-line a day format, which is what I normally do, and I ended up not really remembering to fill it in, so I've gone back to putting all the numbers down so I remember to jot something down each day, even if it's just one word. Okay, now for my calendar page, which is underneath my skull. And I really like how the flaps work on this page. It's something a bit different to the norm, well for me anyway, and it just adds a bit of fun. So I'm drawing a big old grid to fill up most of the page. The boxes are 7x7 with the top used to put the numbers in. Because I had the black paper on the previous two spreads, I wanted to get some black in here as well, but I didn't have much of my black dot grid paper left and I'd already allocated what remained to the other pages. So I decided to colour in my header lines between the boxes and also add a black border all the way around. It kind of keeps that bold feeling going and helps the colours of my decoration pop. After adding all my numbers, I could then go about adding my decorative elements, and because I'd already coloured in and cut out all my flowers, this part was really quick to put together. As well as the flowers, I'd also drawn another skull design. This one is simpler than the front cover, and again I printed out a few different sizes and left them white so I could add different colours to change them up a bit. Just to finish off the page, I added a November title with a brush pen lettering. On to my habits and trackers page. So this is the second month of trying it in this format and adding some more habits relating to my health and well-being. I'm keeping all the habits the same as last month, but I'm adding meditation to it as well. Now there is quite a lot on here and I'm not expecting myself to do all of these every day. Some of them, like vitamins and skincare, I will want to try and do most days, but my exercise-based ones like yoga, the mini workout and hula hooping will be things I want to do 2 or 3 times a week, so this will just help me make sure I'm getting more active. Last month I had a weight tracker on there as a bit of an experiment, and I've left it off on this design because I didn't think I would want to continue with it, but the more I've used my current October spread, the more I think I want to keep going with it. I felt like it helped me keep focused, especially when I had the urge to snack on things hit me. So I'll probably add it back in next month, or maybe in the new year. I gave the tracker a black border the same as the calendar and then added my bone font title. My plant watering tracker is the same as I always do, except it's vertical instead of horizontal, which is what I was doing for most of this year. I'm adding my stickers to decorate the page. There is not much space around the tables on this one, so I decided to add them across the centre fold, as that's the biggest area of blank space. On to my next spread, and I always do a memories page for me to jot down some things that happened in the month. These could be things that I've experienced myself, but also any news from around the world that struck a chord with me and I feel like I want to write down. Now, maybe this is a little bit morbid for some, but I thought I'd get into the spirit of the Day of the Dead celebrations and write down some of my memories about those in my life who have passed away. That's what the festival is all about, honouring those that have had an impact on your life and keeping their memory alive by celebrating them. So yeah, on this page I wanted to write down a few things about people I've lost and relive some nice memories. Okay, and as I have done for all my bullet journal videos this year, I'm going to hit you with some facts about my chosen country. Mexico is part of the North American continent and shares borders with the USA, Belize and Guatemala. Apparently, the border between Mexico and the USA is the second longest in the world and is about 2,000 miles long. Mexico is the second most populous country in North America after the USA and has the largest Spanish-speaking population in the world. On the right side of the page, I'm just adding my usual memory section and decorating with more stickers. My final layouts will be my weekly spreads, and I'm making them quite similar to my August one in terms of having a grid for the whole week in one page. It's quite nice and compact, but I'm also making it a Dutch door. So on my first and last pages, I've added a strip of black paper down the edges and added my remaining stickers. Mexico is very well known for its food, lots of interesting things like tortilla, tostada, enchilada, nachos, tamales, fajita, burrito, guacamole, the list goes on. And pan de muerto is a traditional sweetbread baked for the Day of the Dead festival. The largest cities in Mexico are Mexico City, Monterrey, Tijuana and Guadalajara. I don't know if I said that right. And Mexico City is the second largest city in the Western Hemisphere. Only Sao Paulo in Brazil is bigger. Then, because I had one blank space left, I added a section to jot down any additional notes. I really like how this one turned out. I think the front with the flaps is my favourite setup, just because it's something I've not tried before. I also really like the stickers I'd made, and once they were all done, it made decorating everything such a breeze. Thank you very much for checking out this video. As always, if you enjoyed, please leave a like and a comment, and consider subscribing if you want to see more arts and crafts and bujos. Thanks so much, bye!